Ed Fields along with Rogan Smith today, and our special guest this afternoon is Dionisio D'Aguila. And yes. And that's it. Otherwise, it's just Rogan Smith and I.
Yeah. I wanted to say, I hope Candy gets better quickly. I spoke to her because I thought she might be coming on today because she was in here Monday. But
I saw her on Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't remember which day.
How'd she look?
She's, this flu type thing. There's
something going around.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people just like falling down with the flu.
And if you have kids,
really bad.
You're screwed.
Oh yeah, they recycle the germs.
Yeah, they're petri dishes of germs.
Yeah, even if you're well and you get better, they'll give it right back to you.
Do you ever notice how how you can tell how you don't have young kids, but you used to have young kids, right? How that they live with constant snot. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They're just like we see Kendrick Lass on that, right? You go to a nursery school or something, there's just always some snot. At the school.
And they have it training there like ain't nothing happens. Like,
can I have a candy now?
And then they wipe it down.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the teachers who got to deal with that.
Snot.
The nursery attendants. That's rough.
So it's a nasty thing.
Shout out to y'all. Y'all are special people. Because I couldn't do it.
Because they don't know things. They got the hand in the date and the mouth and.
I know.
Which is good actually. The dirt is good to build up the resistance, but they're inside now. They're only exposed to the germs. They're not exposed to becoming immune to the germs. You know what I'm saying? If they played in the dirt and all that, they'd build up a little. But they live in completely sterile environments, and then they go into a germ environment.
My friend has a little girl, and I swear every time I see her, she get a little cold. And then she loves to cough in your face.
Yeah.
So
they got that wet.
Literally, right in your face.
Yeah, they got that wet,
She won't get lift up. You lift her up, and then she coughs right in your face.
It's constant dripping.
I got a body slammer.
It's constant dripping. So anyway, shout out to them. What else is going on? Anything in I see we have our boundary, the gentleman who's coming on today, he get jam.
Yeah, because he get jam.
Okay.
What is it going to be, Freetown?
I'm saying
now?
jam because
he's not in it's not going to be Montague. It's going to be Freetown.
It's going to be Freetown. See this. Let me tell you something.
We're talking about Dionisio D'Aguila.
I abhor. Forget about who it is.
Who's running?
I abhor the fact that any given day, my place of abode changes the name. Who heard of this? This doesn't happen. If you live in the United States, right? If you live in Glenville, you live in Glenville. You don't wake up one day and it's like, no, it's Roganville now.
It's Hooterville.
Hooterville. I mean, it's almost. Don't you find it like an insulting? I mean, they both do it. All the parties do it.
Yeah.
Don't you find it a kind of like, what are you doing?
I remember when I used to live. Well, anyway, the names change and you go, huh? But then you just kind of roll. You just roll with the punches.
No, I don't want. I want to stop rolling with the punches. This is our problem. We got to stop. When we had Jeff on the other day, right? This whole thing about, can we just know the date, please? We're 38.
Is Minnis promising a fixed date?
I didn't hear. I wanted to ask him that. I was at the press club.
I'm going to ask Dionisio.
Yeah, I was at the press club and I wanted to ask that. I had those questions, but he had to run off to a ratification, so he didn't have time for questions. So he had to literally run off.
No questions?
There were no questions, no. He literally ran. I think there was a conflict, and he came in, did the thing, and then ran to this ratification thing.
And the media were there recording it, eh? I would imagine.
There was, and I think they might have done some interviews outside. I'm not sure. But I'm
curious to know if that's one of his plans. I think I may have heard him mention it at some point, but I got to see if that's something that they have in the works.
I saw in the plan about in his statement two things. I didn't see the fixed date, but I saw two things. One was the term limit, and the other was the minister without portfolio for the prime minister. Those are two things. So the other thing I wanted to hear, and what I wanted to hear was commitment to local government, and the set date. Mm-hmm. This is an easy thing. Just set the date. We can do it today. Let's sit down. Let's be adults.
I want to see.
Pretend we're not 5, and let's just do a fixed date.
Yeah.
Can we just do that one thing, and then we'll feel like we've moved one step closer to being adults?
Yeah, that we've advanced.
Mommy, when you can go a little like shit. That's where we are now.
Only I know.
Mommy. Okay, go sit over there, and I'll tell you when I can call it when I'm ready to call it. Come on. You know?
Yeah.
Mommy, play. And you'll sit over there. Mommy, you can tell me yet? you know how you do that?
I know what you're talking about, so that's the position we're in.
Didn't I tell you to be quiet? So after you're quiet for like an hour. Mm-hmm. Well, I was quiet for an hour, and you ain't tell me yet.
Yeah, maybe Mr. D'Aguilar knows, but I'm curious to see if they have the fixed date. That's something that I'm looking forward to.
Do you feel a sense of frustration about that?
I do, because I get sick. I mean, listen, it only happens every 5 years, right? And you might think, oh, ain't no big deal. But
it is a big deal.
I hate it. I hate this whole process. It's like, fix the date. We know when the election is coming, so there's no guessing.
Do you want to know how insidious it is? You will hear from our guests today. Chances are, I'm only guessing because I've seen this happen before. You will hear from him. Okay, and then you wonder why people talk about why you ain't released this yet and why you ain't done that yet, right? You will probably hear from him that since the day of his ratification, that he was probably campaigning in those two polling divisions that got moved for 2 or 3 months. Yeah. They gone.
Yeah, and that's something.
So how is that?
It doesn't seem
not
fair.
an insult.
It's not fair.
No, it isn't fair. It's almost and again, both sides. Don't excuse no one now. This is both sides.
Oh, I'm not.
It's the most childish. And if you talk about democracy, this is no damn democracy. This is a garbage heap.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, our system is this is why you only hear me. You never hear us call no names. Our system is a garbage heap, and the people who are in power utilize what's available to them to win. No idiot goes, you know what? Let's fix it so like it tight. Let's fix it so it's tight, because right now it looked like we could win this by a landslide. Let's adjust it so it can be a little tight, so they can have a chance.
Yeah.
No. I have Outrider. I ain't adjusted nothing to be tight.
Yeah, that's a huge perk, my friend. When you get the cops there in the front, in the back, that you feel like the king.
Air Force One.
You feel like the king. Yeah, that's our equivalent.
That's our equivalent. Okay.
Did you go? But how did it go though with Minnis to the?
It actually,
to the press
I tried it.
I saw you in the paper.
Yeah, I tried it. Someone, but I'll talk to you first off the mic about that, and you can tell me if I should go down that road.
Will you listen?
Yeah, I'll listen.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I thought it was actually fairly well delivered. And that there were policy points. And what's interesting about that is this, and maybe, just maybe, we're going to see a turn here. Jeff Loy was on our show the other day. And Rogan Smith, you and I are going to have fights, but I know we're not going to have fights because I know you're committed to this as well. When we bring these political people on, we're going to talk policy. And it's an interesting scenario because just like how Jeff was on here for about an hour, I was able to talk to policy. He went off on some little things, characterizations. But for the most part, we talked about policy, about representation, about what representation should be, about the type of things you should have, So that's.
I mean, that's one of the things I want to talk about. But I mean, at the end of the day, if something is big is going on in news, I do want their feedback. I have a guest sitting right here in the front of me.
Well, you can answer. I'm not.
You don't. I'm
not talking about like. Well, so he burned the thing down. What you think? I don't care because you know what? Whatever you say, I already know what you can say. And everyone else out there knows what you're going to say.
It don't matter.
So all we're doing is following the rest of the sheep on the same thing.
Well, you know what? Sometimes you have to be relevant. And
we can always be relevant.
Policy, but at the end of the day, if there's a hot button issue and I want someone to comment on it, I'm going to ask them.
Can I make a bet with you? Depending who it is, we'll have a side bet. When you ask them, I'm going to write down what their answer is going to be before they say it. That's what I always when you have. I'm not talking about your perspective.
It doesn't matter. You know why? Because as a journalist, it's my job to still ask the question. It doesn't matter what their answer is going to be.
Feel free.
Yeah.
I just gave it to you. Okay, so beautiful. And then we'll say, okay, that's a big surprise. Thank you. We just made breaking news.
Okay, you want to be.
It's like when they had breaking news.
That's one thing I don't like. But you, boy, you could be real facetious when
I'm
you're
not being facetious. I'm being cynical.
You be real disgusted. Yeah. I was trying to hold back from that word. When you want to talk about what you want to talk about, it's cool. Let's talk policy. Let's get real. And when if I say
fine, that's what I said.
No, but look what accompanied it, Mr. Fields. Oh, what you moving your thing for?
Waiting for you.
Okay, good. And you say I'm childish.
You
say I'm childish, and you say all these crazy things.
Can you be lighthearted?
No, because you do that often.
But be lighthearted.
Okay.
Okay, just be lighthearted. Okay. So anyway, so she just pulled her mic away.
Yeah, because you just did that. So why is it a problem now when I do it?
Tit for tat?
Yes.
Okay.
So why is it a problem when I do it?
Not a problem.
Why is it a problem when I do it?
Not a problem, I don't.
Okay.
If I feel good now?
I'm ready to move on.
Okay. Yeah?
Yeah.
Let me know just whenever you're ready. So anyway, so we are going, I am going to focus on policy.
Great.
Rogan is going to focus on the sensational.
Excuse me. See, you're back to this
It's
again.
jokes!
No, it's not funny. It's not funny to me. And I don't think I have a thin skin, but you do that often. Don't do that. Don't say I'm going to focus on the sensationalism, because I'm going to focus on whatever it is that comes to my head and I have a question about it. That's what I'm going to focus on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? We're two different people on this show.
Yes, ma'am.
You could take one.
You're the rowdy one, I'm not.
Okay. What?
You put your gum out?
Yep.
Take your gum out, okay? Because the chewing gum, that'll calm you down. Eh? You want some more gum?
Okay. Send me one of them water.
Water, okay. Which one do you
cool
want?
My passion. Give me what's that, Aquapana or whatever that is.
Which one of the three?
The one where your hand is.
Okay, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Let me cool my passion, because you instigate.
You could go from DEFCON 1 to DEFCON 5 in a second.
No, or maybe it's pent up frustration that just you did something and that just that took it over the top. You do that. You're very dismissive.
Well, I'm saying you go from DEFCON 1.
I love you, but
you go from
very
DEFCON
dismissive.
1 to DEFCON 5 in a second. Okay. All right.
I'm going to focus on policy, and Rogan will focus on sensationalism. Okay.
Okay, I'll focus on policy, and Rogan will focus on whatever she wishes to.
How about that?
Okay.
That's quite decent.
Good. Kendrick, we're taking a break now. We'll go back, because you have to have a row every time Rogan is here. Every time you have to have a row.
Don't worry, you don't have no row with me for the next
that's another thing. Yeah, you have to have a row.
I can be here.
Right. Yeah, you have to have a row. It's a prerequisite. I come in expecting a row. We'll be right back. Hi, it's Ed. Hi, it's Ed.
Hi, Edward.
No, you're supposed to say, hi, it's Rogan.
I know what I'm supposed to say.
So you don't want to say it?
They know who this is.
Okay. Well, hi, you know who that is.
You know what someone said? Condescending. That's what you are.
Okay, well, that's fine.
That's the word.
Well, I'm condescending, you're rowdy.
And I agree 100% to this individual.
Okay. Well, let me see what I have on here now. Rowdy, 100%, and I agree with them. See, now I'm being so straight.
What? Someone else just tuned into this show? Sean? Okay. Alrighty. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Okay, let me read this one about how, what did the poem say? The split personality?
Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, so what else is happening?
Oh, you didn't have a chance to go to Malia for this Holocaust survivor? Hey, who came to town?
No, I went to a luncheon for her, though.
You did? How was that?
It was lunchy.
It was lunchy. No, this was really good. Nico Scavella had a little write-up in the Tribune, very well written. I really wish I had an opportunity to go to this. Her name is Eva Schloss, and of course she was detailing her time at Auschwitz, and she was the stepsister and friend of Anne Frank. Everybody knows who Anne Frank is, and just urging folks not to be so prejudiced.
Everyone doesn't know who she is.
Well, she was killed at 15 in Auschwitz. She's a German writer.
Because they spoke to
she's a diarist.
What Ms. Schloss said, which was surprising, is that she spoke to all of these school kids.
Yeah, it was like 600
and none of the kids really knew who Anne Frank was, because it's not taught like it used to be taught.
So people don't hear about Anne Frank's diary?
No, I mean, people can hardly hear about, some people don't even know who the president is. But I mean, no, unfortunately, generation after generation where we may have heard about it as a classic, a lot of these kids now don't hear, World War II, it means nothing to them.
Yeah, that's true.
It could be as much as the Revolutionary War to them,
Yeah,
but it is an interesting
things really
story.
Should be required reading, but this was a very, very good write-up. I really do wish I had had a chance to attend this. So it was really good. Oh, and then your friend is back in the news. Who is this? Oh God, what's her name? Kellyanne Conway, the senior advisor to Trump. She advised folks to go out and buy Ivanka Trump's clothing. This is after Nordstrom, the department store, dropped her clothing and her accessories line, and Trump, of course, on the defensive because they did that to his daughter's line. And so she was in a White House meeting, and she said, she's doing an interview and said, just go and support Ivanka Trump. And they're like, well, no, she breached some ethics code. You don't do that. And so they had to, I suppose, reprimand her behind the scenes. They said they counseled her,
Well, the Trumpster, I'm trying to, and I don't wish to seem off-putting or anything. I'm trying to.
I won. One.
No, well, I'm just showing.
One.
I'm not going to say anything.
I'm
I
smiling.
said I don't want to be
One.
off-putting or anything, but I feel as if I got to just get out of the Trump mode. I'm just going to let him be his president, let him do what he wants, and then I suppose we'll respond to whatever he does that impacts us in some way. Right now, I don't know if what he's doing is impacting me positively or negatively. I don't know, but he is not a civil person. And I choose not to be exposed to his incivility. I was talking to someone the other day. There could be a bartender behind a bar, and they might be the best drink server in the world. But if they're rude and nasty and all that, you necessarily don't want to have to deal with them. So I just find that Mr. Trump may have the greatest policies in the world. I saw something, I was watching the debate on the health thing, the Bernie Sanders and Ted Cruz were debating the health thing. And something flashed on where Trump had said about some state senator, can you give us his name? Maybe we can ruin his career. I just, that's just so... It doesn't seem like a thing that a president would say. Maybe at least the presidents that I've come across. And I think that if Obama had said it, they would have crucified him. So I'm kind of like, and then the people who support him, they don't care. They don't care that he does that. So what do? I don't know how you wrap your hand around it. So I'm trying to get Trump light, as much as I can, because it's stressful.
Yeah.
You don't find it stressful?
I don't find it stressful. I mean, I think because I saw so much of it on the campaign trail that nothing he says today shocks me.
Yeah.
And I think his supporters will continue to support him, especially when like when somebody is vehemently opposing your boy, then you feel the need to step up and support them even more. So with so many people who are coming out, and saying negative things about Trump, and a lot of it is valid, they feel the need to protect him and to defend him, and that's what you're getting.
Yeah.
So they don't care what he says at this point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So looking at Ms. Schloss, who is a speaker today at the tonight at the thing, Ava, I think it's pronounced Schloss. No, it's tonight. The speaking. No. She spoke to the school yesterday. Tonight she's speaking at the Malia, starting at 6:30. So I think.
No, this was last night.
Would you like me to get you the flyer? I can do that for you. So the thing is, she's speaking.
She said to her, unless it's a separate event, but she
was at a luncheon yesterday.
Okay. Well,
and tonight she is speaking at a thing at the Malia.
Well, I see this thing said to a full room full of students at the Malia Nassau Beach.
She did that yesterday. Yeah. But tonight she's speaking to another audience.
That's what I said. Maybe it's another meeting.
So Ms. Schloss was saying how I'm thinking that there would have been people who would have defended Hitler. Mm-hmm. And do you just So I say to myself, those people, there's got to be something in our humanness that, regardless of the fact that someone is defending it, means nothing. Okay, the fact that someone would defend Hitler doesn't mean anything to me, because the ideal they're defending is so offensive. Mm-hmm. It's not worthy of. It diminishes those people. There's got to be a line of recognition of what is right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? And it just seems that there's some things that are being done that are not right, and so those people unfortunately get brushed with that. It'll be interesting to see what happens over time. Mm-hmm. If he continues on that path. How people feel about defending him, Yeah,
he can't last like that. He certainly can't make it through his term in that manner.
I mean, if I said to to Kendrick, well, Rogan is doing so. Let's see how I could, and on public now, let's see how I could ruin her career. Is that acceptable? Mm-mm. It's completely unacceptable. Mm-hmm. And what's sad, I think there's a guy named Bill Sykes. He's a Republican commentator. And he came out in the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. He said, what's sad is that truth is being lost. And that essentially what we'll get to where, like you said, people who are the defender of him, mm-hmm. their truth is him. Mm-hmm. So that if I said Donald Trump has orange hair, no, he has black hair, and Donald Trump says I have black hair, mm-hmm. they believe he has black hair. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere where they said this is the Trump era will signal the end of facts or
Right.
something like that. You know,
He had something, I think, the other day where
Facts don't matter.
the guy who's a judge, who he has up for the judge, said to a Democratic senator that he disagreed vehemently with Trump's with characterization of the, quote, so-called judge. And Trump then tweets, the Democrat who didn't serve in Vietnam, who major lie, can't even say the truth about what the judge said to him. But another source verified that that's what was said. But there are people who are going to now believe Trump.
yeah.
So,
It is what it is.
So you get to that point where you go, how much is it worth it
Yeah.
to go down that road?
Yeah.
We have to find a way to go down the road of truth, and to just try our best to just do what is factual.
He's just so childish. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's
So
so childish.
I yearn for the moment when we get to that critical pivot where he's no longer the subject of conversation.
I wonder if he'll make it these 4 years. I really do. And I don't mean make it like I hear people talking about they hope someone does something to him. I don't want anybody to harm him. I don't want that. I'm just talking
you're talking about make it, like, finish his presidency without being impeached.
Yeah.
Yeah, he may. I mean, you never know. I think that there's right now, the last poll showed, that ban that he did,
That he said is
something
not
like
banned.
50-something% support it.
Yeah.
So, they support it until they don't, until it affects them,
Yep.
So what do you do? It's the era of people doing what they want to do. So
Yeah. I don't know if you heard this story. Well, it was out a couple hours ago about this Chinese hospital that infected 5 people with HIV. I think one of the individuals who was drawing blood reused some tube, like the inner tube, and infected 5 people in China. I can't even imagine. Even when I go to get blood drawn, like I am first of all, I'm afraid of needles. That's number one. But number 2, like I'm always watching to make sure it's like a new needle. They're pulling out the pack. Like I'm asking questions. That's just me because I'm paranoid of, being infected with something. It's crazy.
I didn't see the story. Was it because they didn't use sterile?
Well, they'd use this needle, the inner tube, or like how you suck it up, like you have the needle part,
Yeah,
and then so they used it on an HIV patient, and then the person reused the inner piece.
Yeah.
Just put on a new needle. Yeah.
Well, the hospital is the most dangerous place in the world to be. Did you know that?
And you say this because what?
No, I mean literally.
I don't know if it's the most dangerous place in the world.
We'll do the research. It's one of the most dangerous things to do. They don't want you to be in the hospital long. The bacteria that exists in the hospital. This is where you get your flesh-eating bacteria and your your antibiotic-resistant bacterias. It's a very dangerous place, germ-wise, to be. So yeah, it's the fact that I'm not shocked. I'm shocked that it's only 5.
Well, here's the
thing. And I'm shocked that it's not more frequent.
Here's the thing, because they didn't have such a great track record in China with their hospitals, but the people are now questioning. Okay, so 5 that we know of. Who else out there possibly had this have the disease, and we don't know about it? Who might step forward? That's a scary thing.
I mean, when you think about how many people go to the hospital, and they say they go for like a routine thing, and then they're dead.
How could you be so careless, though,
in
this instance?
The thing is...
So negligent.
Well, I don't want to be, what's the word, flippant about it, right? But when you think about the fact that everyone who goes into a hospital has something wrong with them. No. No, but I mean, I'm talking about sick people. It's a place for sick people to go. It's not like a hotel.
People go to the hospital for preventive care.
Yeah, but I mean, yes, but a lot of sick people go to the hospital. And so you got to figure that if a lot of people go in there who are sick enough germs, some of them germs bound to leak through the system, So it's a risky thing. They don't like you to be in the hospital longer than you have, And the what do you call it, post-operative?
They need the bed. I said that's because they need the bed.
Yeah, the post-operative part is sometimes the most dangerous. Anyway, we'll be back. We're going to go to news, and we'll be back with Dionisio de Aguilar. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here along with Rogan Smith and Kendrick Williams. Our guest this afternoon is Dionisio de Aguilar, who is the candidate for the Montague constituency for the FNM. We had on the show on Monday Jeff Lloyd, who is the FNM candidate for South Beach. On Monday, we have Tennille Burrows, who is the independent candidate for Elizabeth. And then we have Mr. Greenslade, who is the DNA candidate, I want to say, for Carmichael, I think. I'm not sure. I got to double check it. It's Southern Shores or somewhere in that area. And then the following week, we are looking at we're actually looking at doing a town hall meeting with some people. I'm trying to get before I segue into that, Nicolette Bethel and Ian Strawn on. They have this campaign going, which I have to say I don't understand it, but it's a democracy, so they say you can do what you wish, of getting people to go and spoil their ballots.
What?
That's the campaign. Have you seen it?
Well, you got what's the name? The senator, Rodney Monka. He telling people to go to the beach on election day.
Yeah.
So
well,
that's the equivalent.
Again, and I'm going to be very cautious here. Okay, that's okay. Rodney said that. That's good. I'm going to question Nicolette Bethel on and Ian Strawn. On why they want to say go and spoil their ballots. I'm not going to question the Honorable Senator Moncur on going to the beach. That's what he says. Good. So that's kind of confusing to me.
Yeah.
Especially coming from them.
Yeah.
You see,
I hadn't even heard that.
And I don't want to be, flippant or dismissive. But had Mr. Moncur said it, I would have been flippant or dismissive. So But because I want to understand, because from Mr. Moncur I expect anything.
Yes.
Ham is takey's ham. I don't, anything can happen. But I'm knowing Nicolette Bethel and knowing how she espouses the importance of being a part of the system. It's an anomaly for me.
Yeah.
So I need to,
Should participate.
There's no anomaly.
I agree. You should participate.
Yeah. There's no anomaly in the Moncurville.
Man,
Anything could happen.
He's called me Dioncio.
Yeah. Anything could happen. Anything could happen. Okay.
Dioncio.
Every day.
Yeah.
Is he intentionally doing that, or is that how you?
Of course.
He
Of
thinks
course
it's
he is.
pronounced?
My name is Denicio, but he likes it Dioncio. He says he's going to call me that name till I come on his show.
Yeah.
So that's been going on for 6 months now. Every day.
Yeah.
You in line up to go on the show yet?
No. Well, now in Freetown, so maybe I have to go there.
So you're now. So let's talk first of all. Mr. Lloyd was on here on Monday, and I, as I said to Mrs. Smith earlier, I want to focus on substantive issues with regard to the electorate making their decision for the upcoming election. And one of the things he talked about was this the day. I think Rogan is particularly interested in this question as well. The set
Election date.
the set election date. I said it's sex election.
Sex election.
Yeah,
Maybe-
everyone showing up for that.
Maybe
We registered for that.
Spoil ballots for that one.
That's where the 3 million voters come from.
Maybe we should do that.
Registration
Maybe
going
it goes
right
to
to
the
the
room.
Yeah. Except I have to slow it down because you can't come with no bare chest.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's the FNM's position on that?
Yeah.
A set election
Fixed
date.
election date.
The fact that the incumbent gets to choose the date. I think our constitution says that you can call an election anytime within 5 years. And no political party that I can remember has gone anything less than the 5 years, except maybe 67, 68.
Yeah.
But everybody else since then has gone the full 5 years.
But it's still like, you could.
Yeah. So,
But don't you think it advances our democracy to have a set date? See, there would be two things: the set date and an independent boundaries commission, where the commission is set
Well, that's definitely-
6-7 months in advance, so that. How many? We asked the question, huh?
You don't have. There's nothing in the pipeline from
I
your
don't
party.
know. I mean, I it's a big fat manifesto, and I have to honestly say I don't know. I don't know whether it's in there, but my personal belief is yes, we should definitely have a set date.
Yeah.
All this indecision and befuddling and waiting and trying to figure out what the day is, and we don't even know.
When the bell can ring.
Yeah, and we don't even know.
Where's the bell?
Yeah, we don't even know what the day is. I mean, if you have to tell me the day by which he has to have the election, nobody seems to know that day. I have no clue. People say, I mean, you
It's
know, the
in
last the people said the last election was May the 5th, so it got to be before May the 5th. But they say no, but you don't count the weekends along the way, so it could be 2 weeks after that, and then I just don't know. It's so confusing.
Can we ask you, please, sir? I think Mr. Lloyd is already on this anyway.
Yeah.
To go back to your leader and say, look, let's pick, for the sake of argument, because, you know, we've had elections in other months.
Yeah.
We've had elections. That's why I say this early thing is maybe wrong.
Yeah.
Because we've had elections in August.
August.
We've had them in January. So they're fuddling with the dates.
Yeah.
So can you go back to your leader, please, and say, look, since we're on May,
Yeah. Let's stick with me.
Yeah.
can we please say that the second Tuesday
Day after the first Monday.
after the first Monday, or whatever you come up with, whatever formula you write down,
Yeah.
can we say that
That
is
is
going to be a part of your platform?
Uh,
What's the big deal?
Yeah. The Brits have done this now.
and
the
by-
Brits just
they
did
have
it.
a set date?
They just did it.
Can we copy them? We like to copy them for everything.
They just did it. They just set a fixed day now.
And you can't call it earlier, right?
No.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Can you say that?
Yeah.
You have
Can you
define-
go?
I agree.
No. Can you go? You have to say a yes or
Yes.
no.
Yes,
Can
I
you
will go to my leader.
Rogan say.
Yeah.
Can we have a day? And we want it because it's May, the second Tuesday in May.
Yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
Ed. But the problem is with these lawyers, they'll come, you can't do that.
Well, Minister isn't a lawyer.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
that.
So
He's
just
a
let him do
doctor.
it.
Yeah.
Let him ignore
Yeah,
that.
Ed.
Okay. And by the way, I noticed. I looked at the slate. You only got about 5 lawyers in there.
No, yeah.
Oh, great.
Yes.
We're already advanced it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Enough of
Enough of
those
that.
lawyers.
Yeah.
Not on the other side though. Plenty lawyers there.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
So
but you know, your constituency, I know you made mention of it earlier. It's been changed to Freetown. You know, you're going to lose some polling of divisions. I guess some other divisions will be added. I mean, what position does that put you in? Because you would have been campaigning in certain areas. I think you said, you know, Blair,
Well,
for example.
the plans that I've seen is that I'm losing 2 polling divisions, Blair, which were predominantly an F&M stronghold.
it's coincidental.
Yeah, coincidental. And there were, of course, I've taken those out. That's about 700 votes. And the PLP are gloating at, oh, yes, we've weakened the Aguila, which they have.
PLP only lost by 200 votes.
Yes. So it is.
You've lost that. Is that what they're saying?
It's 700 votes that have taken out, and I reckon probably 450 of those would have been F&M, and 250 of those would have been PLP.
Yeah.
So they've weakened me.
Yeah.
But you know, I think they're the incumbent.
hey.
They've been in office for 5 years. People are upset with them for a myriad of reasons. So they will have lost.
You know what Freetown means?
Um,
It means that you're going to be setting up a new super wash for free
in town.
You want to get a vote?
I
you got to set up some washes, you cleans, you
To be fair, I actually have a wash house in Freetown.
Okay, well,
It's the one on Wolf
hey,
Road.
You better
Wolf
free
Road,
up.
Mackey. That's in
You
Freetown.
better free up now.
Yeah, I got to free up. That's election time.
How long have you been campaigning for? How many months?
I think I started. I can't remember when I was nominated. I think it was in October, sometime in October. So I was, predominantly in Blair, and they must be watching me go through there and say, the Aguila.
Yeah.
Let's put that in St. Anne's.
You should have started in a different area and then see if they'd pull that out.
Yeah, so I should have gone in.
So what you have to do is, when is the last time you had a conversation with Frank Smith? Is he unhappy?
He is the one who actually told me that this was going to happen, and he told me to be on the right side of Village Road. He saw me around Christmas time when he was in the shack doing what it is that he does.
Yeah.
And he said, "Boy, let me tell you, boy, we cutting that out." He said, "I ain't going on the other side of Village Road. That gone." And
You should have followed his advice.
but they didn't add in. He did say they were going to add in, what that area is between on Wolf Road between Mackey
Culmersville?
and Culmersville. He said they were going to add in 2 polling divisions from Culmersville, but it doesn't seem as if they have done. But I mean, it's gerrymandering gone too bad. I mean, it is so obscene. I mean, if you look at St. Anne's now, I've never seen a constituency that is so gerrymandered. It looked like they went and looked for every F&M voter, and they twist and turn that constituency. And I think there's one part of that constituency is like 100 meters wide, 100 feet wide, as they try to go from one area
Like a
of
bridge?
F&M support to
A bridge?
another.
A bridge to nowhere?
Yeah, a bridge to
F&M votes.
Yeah, F&M votes. So
But listen, in all seriousness, Mr. Lloyd was on, and the focus seemed to be, and I don't know what your position is, and I don't know what the FNM's position is. I noticed that the manifesto, I understand, was just uploaded, is one of focusing on policy. Specifically, this idea of representation and what representation means. Now, first of all, in your campaigning, so this is a truth and, what do you call it, truth or consequence, truth or dare or whatever the hell the game is, moment. In your campaigning, have you found yourself slipping into the age-old process with the voters of, yeah, man, I can fix you up and all that kind of, that kind of stuff? Or you being, Mr. Lloyd says, I'm not coming to your house. He says,
funerals,
he says, I'm not coming to the house. I'm
weddings.
not coming to funerals. That is not what representation is about. And people actually campaign on, oh, yeah, you can see me all the time. And that's like the first lie out of the boat. So what is your approach to this campaign?
So in the areas that I went, most of the people that I spoke to, you've got two types of voters. You've got the voter that's all about country. The country is in a disastrous mess. We need to fix the country. We need to change the government. And then you've got the voter that's all about me. What you could do for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I must say that in the areas that I was campaigning, 99% of them were all about country. And they you don't have to, I mean, it's amazing though when you go around that people think it's extremely important that you at least touch them.
Yeah.
So they like the fact. I mean, it's amazing to me. You don't
want to be taken for
middle
granted.
income voters. I'm surprised, but they were like, "Oh, I'm so thankful you came to my house and you sat in my front room and you asked me what my concerns were."
Right.
So they like that. Never once did anyone ask me for anything financial.
Right.
So it was all about, this is my moment to vent.
Yeah.
And they did mention, oh, well, we didn't see the previous candidate the whole 5 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's, in the constituency of what was Montague, there was 5,300 constituents, right? So there is no possible way.
Jeff did the math,
that
remember?
you could even touch all of them. And if you did it, what is it? There's 365 days in the year.
The same math.
Yeah, for you to touch all of them every day.
That's what you're doing full time.
Yeah. So I always explain to them, I said, look, if you win, you have a cabinet position. So you got a job, right? So you got a job. Whether you win or don't win, you got a job. You got to make a living, right? Your living is not the $28,000 they pay you a year to be an MP. Ain't gonna pay no bills. Okay? So you've got your job, you've got your family, and now you've got to represent them. And while I want your vote, and I would love to have your vote, I just can't touch you. Be realistic. I just can't touch you as much as
I
you
can't
want
go
me
to
to.
7 funerals on Saturday.
No.
But are you telling them this?
Well, no one's really asked. I mean, but if they were to tell me, I mean, people come to me and say, okay, so someone comes to me and says, oh, my roof broke, and I need $1,000, or I need $1,000, and I say, okay, there's 5,000 constituents in Montague. If everybody asked me for $1,000, that's $5 million. And while I would love your vote, I don't really want it that bad because I ain't spending no $5 million to win no seat. Okay, so. Back. and
1,000 years, back.
But if you want my vote, if you think I can make a difference in your life or not in your life, in the life of your children and grandchildren, then vote for me. If not, go to the man down the road, let him give you the $1,000. Yeah. I've thought of going though.
You thought of what?
I've thought of saying this. Go to the other man, and if you come with $500 in your and you wave it at me and I can see it, then I'll match it. And then you could vote for whoever you still think is best.
No, you don't want to do that.
But I don't. I know they ain't coming.
Because it's not only that, it's going to be a lie anyway.
I know they ain't coming.
Plus, it's going to be a lie. They might get their own 500.
Let him match it. I was just thinking that.
They slick boy. They'll find that 500. They'll go to Rogan and say, Rogan, let me 500. Because Dagel will say you can give me 500.
Someone come, I need something to eat, or I need help here, or this or that. There's the.
What I found. I guess you're reaching, right? You're reaching for hope in many cases. But what I found interesting on Monday, and again, I think I said this would apply to any candidate, no matter what side of the political divide they're on. What I found hopeful was that we're beginning to have this kind of honest discussion about what representation should be. It is not often heard it is very easy to hear and to say to the people, like you see, Rogan has interviewed 1 million politicians. They say those same platitudes.
Yeah.
And I think we're beginning to turn the table, hopefully, of people being told this is what the reality is.
But many politicians that come before you, they say, okay, now get ready, because you got to have plenty grill and chill, and you got to buy all kind of liquor and keep your food going, and then you got to give them the T-shirt and the $100, and this is how it works in the Bahamas.
It's bribery.
And this is, and if you were to get my opponent, for example, this is his modus operandi. This is what he would do. This is how he works. This is how they move through. I've watched them in action. People come up to them and ask them, "I have some problem," and it's always a financial solution. And this is and your question is, and you hope and you pray that there's enough Bahamians out there who think not for $200 once every 5 years, you're going to destine the future of our country, and that you're going to say, "Okay, let me look at this guy. Is he really the best person to represent us?" But
But you also you're not even guaranteed they're going to vote for you if you give them the money.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. I mean, how do you know that's real?
Yeah.
I mean.
Mr. D'Aguilar, I heard you say earlier, like when you go to these constituents' houses, a lot of times it's a venting session. A lot of them are saying they haven't seen their MP in 5 years, that sort of thing. There's a misconception, I suppose, that a lot of Montague residents, they don't really have much of a need. So it's easier for someone like you to campaign in that constituency. So in their venting sessions with you, what are some of the things that they're saying that the area needs or what they need?
Every single constituent touches on the same three things. First and foremost, crime. Second, the economy. And third, education. Now, you may have someone like the too many Chinese coming in, or immigration, or can I carry my own weapon now because things getting out of control. So you'll have one or two of those, but it's crime, the economy, education. Crime, the economy, education. And all of them, and I ask every time I go to the constituents that I visited in Blair, I give me two or three things that are your concern, and almost 99% of them was crime, education, and the economy.
What's funny about that is, and again we discussed this earlier, and we've discussed it on many a show, is how if you reverse that, education and economy and crime, it's what causes. It starts with that education, because if people were properly educated, crime would go away or reduce because people would have an economy that would
and they'd have a job, and they'd have a reason to get up and go to work every day and something to protect. And hopefully,
when we come back, being a businessman, I want to ask you some questions as it relates to doing business in the Bahamas and why, philosophically, we're having this kind of direction that we're going on. We'll be right back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here, along with Rogan Smith, who I must say I love very much, even though she, she is what she is. And I am what I am, so that's why we love each other. All right, so listen, I want to put this in as few words as possible, because I want people to understand that this is not a political argument. This is a philosophical or theoretical argument. Now, you're a businessman. Yep. You pay taxes.
Lots of them.
First of all, let me ask you a question so we can get past this. Are you philosophically opposed to VAT?
Not at all.
Okay.
I think it's actually, of all the taxes, it's been extremely well collected, extremely well rolled out, and we should, if this is the one that Bahamians comply with, this is the one we should run with.
And by the way, when I first spoke to the Secretary of the Revenue at the time, who was Mr. Roll, and I asked him, why VAT versus sales tax? And his response was, basically, it's because this is the one we feel most comfortable we can collect. Because if you have a sales tax, you got to go after the point.
The business license tax, I'm philosophically against that. That is a
and
very regressive.
And I want to talk about that in a second as well, because I want to talk about why we are going in this direction. And it seems to me that we're going in this direction because there's a fundamental miscalculation, if I could use that phrase, of how to apply tax in order to grow the economy. So I think that the present philosophy is you tax your way out of a slow economy.
Correct.
As opposed to if you loosen, I can't even believe I'm saying this because it sounds so conservative, but if you loosen the burden,
Such a Republican.
yeah, but you can't, you can't be pinned to a philosophy if it doesn't work. So if you loosen the burden, Rogan may want to go into business. It cost her. I think a classic example is those folks on R.M. Bailey.
I was just holy
Okay.
crap! I was going to mention them.
The reality is they're there because it's a government piece of property and they don't feel that they're going to be enforced, but they're there because they also can't pay a $2,000 license or business fee, lawyers and this and all that kind of stuff,
corporation, yeah.
and then have to pay rent and all this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say there are 40 people there. Well, the reality is probably none of those are paying a traditional business license $2,000 thing, get the lawyer and all that. So rather than the government collect one $2,000, they could have collected 40 $200s.
Yeah.
Now, that one 2,000 person may hire only one other person. But those 40 other people are going to hire at least one other person, so that's 40 jobs. And you've collected more than the $2,000. You've collected $8,000.
And
Why are we not tuned into that simple math?
I mean, you can take it even further. And that is when you import stuff, you have to pay this 45% import tax up front.
We talk about that.
And if your vehicles, I mean, if you take the motor vehicle, new motor vehicle area of our economy, it's been devastated by high import duties and the high business license fees, which just taxes your revenue, right? So these taxes are destroying, businesses that employ a lot of people, create a lot of jobs. And if it was me, let's find one tax, preferably VAT. Let's put VAT up to what it needs to be to compensate for the removal of these other taxes and just have one simple tax.
Well, the irony.
Day one.
The irony is the New Zealand model,
Yes.
okay, that we have proposed to follow.
Yeah.
When New Zealand introduced, they also have income tax in New Zealand.
And they have VAT.
But when they introduced VAT, they eliminated every single tax except the income tax, which they brought down.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing by increasing the tax over and over and over is you are taxing the same tax base.
Yes.
And that causes that tax base to shrink.
Yeah, because
they go out of business.
Yeah, they're not into it.
So or they can't afford it.
Yeah.
You tax so much they can't afford to be in business. So then, or they go undercover and do underground stuff.
Yeah.
But then if you expand the tax base, then you collect more taxes from an expanded tax base.
If you think about it, when we were just relying on the import duties, it was just the people that
Shops.
imported, right? Now you've got VAT, which is goods and services. So now you're taxing the lawyers and the doctors and the accountants and everybody who delivers a service that never ever contributed so little to the tax base. So now that you've spread that base,
you collect more tax than you ever collected.
Now you need to eliminate the high cost of going into business because you have to pay this 45% import tax plus a 3% conversion fee. And if you eliminated that, then more people could.
Now, I'll tell you something that I'm concerned about, because that seems like simple math, right? Yeah. If you and I, Rogan, were sitting down and we wanted to come up with a mathematical formula to get to 2, we only have a couple options. 1 + 1. Or 1 + 1.5 + 1/2. There's only so many things you can do to get to 2.
Yeah.
It seems to me that has to be something that's understood, that you can create more jobs, more small businesses, et cetera, et cetera. I am hoping that it's not an insidious thing to just continue to be the number one employer for the purpose of retaining power.
The government, that is,
Okay.
There's no doubt that we cannot sustain.
Right.
What is it? 21,000 civil. I mean, I always say we are 350,000 people. I mean, I don't know how big Dade County is, or I don't know how big one of those counties in Florida.
Let's say it's similar.
It's the same. Do they really have 19,000 employees?
I don't think so.
No.
Because you know why? Let me tell you why. The people who do, just say for the sake of argument, the parks are private contractors.
Yeah.
The people who do certain things are private, So they just contract everything out. The reality is that you want to get into a position where as many people as possible can go into business, even if those businesses eventually fail, because it's a circle, right? to where they're creating those jobs.
Well, absolutely, and this is part of the F&M's manifesto, which is to try and outsource as many of the present functions that are being performed by the government to private entrepreneurs or business people who can present. So, take for example passports. Let's just take passports, right? So, right now it takes you 3 months to change a picture and an expiration date, right? It takes you 12 to 14 weeks to get a passport if you pay the $50. Okay. Now you would go out there and say, okay, I want requests for proposals, and we want to issue a passport in a day. In fact, when you come in, we want to put it in your hand because really all we're doing is changing the expiration date. In most instances, the expiration date in the picture. So, Bahamians, put in a proposal, and let's go for it, and let that function be outsourced. I'm sure you would have.
Is that traditional outsourcing, or is that traditionally held by the State Department though? Because of the security issues.
Okay, you could have the printing of them or the issuing of them and all the rest of the approval process and whether the person's entitled to it. Yes, okay.
Because you're not going to sell you some passport on the side.
Obviously. Or the driver's license. Have you been for a driver's license? You go into that little hokey room down in...
I haven't been there yet because I'm in October.
Yeah. Well, you've been there before, right?
No, but they've changed.
They've changed now. They're the sports center. But I understand
and they're
the
actually
point.
down on Carmichael Road as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can go down there.
No, I want to get...
the point is made.
Yeah, I want to get to the point, and as Mike can drive it home as much as possible, because, and I'm talking about any candidate, ladies and gentlemen, who comes to your doors.
Yeah.
You want two things in this environment. And by the way, crime will solve itself. Crime will not solve itself if these things aren't addressed.
Yeah, absolutely.
If people don't have jobs, it will not solve itself.
And they can't get jobs until they get an education.
Right.
So
when I heard things about charter schools and magnet schools and all boys schools and things like that. These are the things I, as a voter, want to hear.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me that it's a new strategy.
Yeah.
Or a strategy as opposed to, we can take care of it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. Yeah. But the point cannot be driven more, Dionisio, of... And I hope the F&M, if they are lucky enough to win the next election, realizes how the direction that we've been going in, and I'm not talking about politically, I'm talking about management-wise, is not the track that you're in business. Yeah. You're going to keep the same losing strategy.
Look, first of all, you take the Department of Education. They've been doing it for 43 years, and they can muster a D-. Our ease of doing business has gone from 76.
You saw we went from F plus though. So look at the thing.
Then you've got the ease of doing business has gone from 76 to 121, and I don't hear how we're going to address that from the government of the day. I just don't understand how they intend to deal with that. But it's another ranking is about to come out, and every day you see people complain about the bureaucracy, and I think this is the way I think it happens, right? You have the civil service propose what the licensing process is going to be. And you have lawyers at the top who've never run a business. And they say, okay, that sounds good. So, for example, Superwash. I have to get 2 health certificates I have to get 2 health certificates for 2 employees for each one of my laundromats.
Now?
I have to get 2 health certificates per location.
Okay.
So I have to pick 2 people within my 115
if
staff
10 people work, so if 10 people work there, you only need 2 health certificates?
No, I just got to get. I got 10 locations. Give me 20 health certificates. Pick 20 of your staff out of the 115 and give me 20 health certificates. And I'm like, well, why? I don't.
Do you pick the most diseased ones?
Yeah, I'm just like, why? Because I don't handle food. So why do I even need a health certificate?
No, you don't have no chicken in your thing?
No. Okay. I mean, but and then you have to get 2 health certificates, and I'm like, well, anybody in particular? I mean, I move all my staff around. I pick any 2. Okay. Does this make any sense?
No, it's this is what I feel. I don't think I've said this on the air, but I'm going to say it on the air now. I may have said it to Kendrick and Mrs. Smith. There are countries where the people who control the regime, okay, will torture you, they will maim you, they will put you in prison, they will murder you to stay in power. Here, we just play with your mind.
Yeah.
So you know how easy that is? You know how easy that is to do compared to killing? Because when you go to these things and you ask them to explain, For instance, I need to know, I want to be wrong, why I need a passport to get a driver's license. Is it a code I have to plug into my car that says, okay, if you're not paying me, you can't drive?
Yeah.
Do you know the answer to that?
Everything, if you think about it, everything in this country requires a passport now. You can't get a driver's license. You
What
can't
about
license
go to
your car.
Superwash?
You can't.
Open a bank account.
You can't open a bank account.
Nothing.
Everything needs a passport. And you know how many people don't have a passport?
Because it's not a requirement to fly
yeah,
or
and
to travel.
And then it's you can't even register to vote without a passport. You need to pay $50 to get a passport to register to vote.
No, if you have a former voter's card,
Yeah,
you can
vote-
have it.
yeah,
then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but suppose
mean-
I just turned 18.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then to get
Because apparently, your birth certificate isn't proof of citizenship.
no. But not only that, they don't trust
ID on
it.
it.
They don't trust it. That you could say Ed Fields, and I could go to the birth certificate and say, "Give me one birth certificate for Ed Fields," and I could walk on some Ed Fields. So that they don't trust that.
I
can
see.
understand
Listen,
that.
there are some things, and this is where there's a gray area between the things that the Republicans do and what we do in terms of ID for voting and all that, right? Okay, let's just say voting is one of the sacrosanct things that citizenship should be proven.
Yeah.
To have the right to vote, but to drive,
Yeah.
who gives a damn?
Yeah.
You just need to know how to drive. That's you don't need to be like, can you not? Oh, sorry, we don't give Estonians, we don't allow Estonians driver's license in Bahamas, so you're not on the list of authorized countries. Okay.
I know.
I would.
It's too much.
And does it? Let me ask you a question, Rogan. Does it? Because this is how I feel. Does it not wear down on you day in and day out to have to deal with this?
Every day you have to have a passport to do many functions, and
But
I
just
agree with
anything.
Stuff.
I mean, you go through thing. Doesn't it?
It
I'm
doesn't
asking you
wear
as a
down on me.
citizen.
Just-
Doesn't
I mean,
it feel
it's frustrating,
like,
but I don't know that it wears down on me. I guess I
To
just
cash a
chalk
check,
it up.
you need two forms
I
of
just
ID.
chalk it up to that's what it is.
But
To cash a
it's
check,
wearing
you
me
need
down.
two forms of ID.
I don't understand that.
I don't. So you need a
Driver's license and your passport?
driver's license and something else. I mean, I don't know if they accept a national insurance card.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
they
think
accept a
they do.
national
Yeah,
insurance
they
card.
do.
But to get a national insurance card, you need the passport.
Yeah.
So
See, here's the thing. See, this is where I go back to because I did the. By the way, I forgot to tell you. I got word that they're working on it.
With the banks.
Yeah,
what?
about
Yes.
changing the ID requirements.
Yep. So you don't
Okay,
need the
so
passport.
I got some word that they're because we've been pushing it. We've
Is
been
it
pushing it.
positive?
It's
Does it
positive.
seem-
It's positive. Because here's the deal, and this is why whoever takes over, we have to push them to do this.
Yes. Oh, you mean to?
I'm a plumber. Okay, I plunge stool for a living. I get
That's not necessary.
no, I know, but anyway, I get, but I'm trying to be basic. I get. I'm a plumber's assistant.
Yeah.
I'm not even a plumber.
Yeah.
I'm a plumber's assistant.
I get the stuff from the.
So I plunge in that. That's what I do. Okay. Because I know the plumber just don't do that. He got pipe. He running pipe. So So I get $300 a week in B dollars.
Yeah.
Okay. I go to the bank to put my B dollars in the bank. Every week, it's $300. It's a Financial Transaction Reporting Act,
Yeah.
not the Financial Open Up an Account Act.
Yeah.
And the OECD do not care about me.
No.
But yet, I need to show where I reside, where I do this, where I do that. These are the most mobile people. Okay? They could be living here today and there tomorrow. So it don't matter where I live. What you should be reporting is if and I'm going to be very basic again, if the stool plunger is putting $15,000 every week in the bank,
Yeah.
that's what you need to be concerned about.
Yeah.
Not what that he opened up an account. So we need to get out of this mode of illogical process.
Ed, you go. It's so funny because you go to the United States, or you go to
Well, I
Canada,
know. Yeah.
and you open up a bank account there, and it is minutes, and it's a joke. They ask you for two forms of ID, one of which could be a credit card.
Yep.
Then they ask you what your income is. You make up a number. You don't. You just make up a
Because you know
number.
why? They will monitor you and they will cut you off.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here along with Mr. Dionisio de Aguilar and the one who I care most about, Miss Rogan Smith.
I thought you were to say Kendrick.
No, Kendrick, he doesn't care about me, so I'm a reciprocal. The only reason I care about you so much is because you care about me. Kendrick, on the other hand, he doesn't even give us notice
that he won't be.
that he won't be here.
At least I tell you.
But we care about Kendrick, even though he doesn't reciprocate.
I know what you do to them, Kendrick. They talking bad about you tonight.
Yeah. He's my boy.
Yeah. I want to go back to Rogan pointed out earlier about this date. So listen, education obviously is a concern, crime is a concern, and hopefully whomever is in new government realizes that there has to be some, because otherwise there's going to be a revolution. There cannot be, no matter who takes reign, cannot be business as usual in the next 5 years.
Absolutely not.
That just cannot happen.
We will devalue.
There will be massive pushback by the people. But having said that, we go back to this issue of the system, okay, and the system of governance. Local government. What's your position? What's the party's position on that?
I mean, obviously, you need it in the Family Islands. It's probably useful because otherwise you are constantly sending stuff up to central government, and then there's even greater delay for you to get down to back to the islands. So yes, you need to devolve some power down to them to take care of whatever local issues they need to do. I don't think we need it here in Nassau because God knows that we don't need any more layers of bureaucracy here in this country.
Well, see, I'm going to disagree with you profusely.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're going to quote my friend who created an anomaly, Nicolette Bethel, about more government. Because I think there is a lot of local, when I say local, community-based stuff that does not need to be upstream to the Minister of Works to fix a pothole in a community.
Yeah.
And they're paying property taxes. Yeah. And if you were representing an area like Blair and they keep a percentage of their property tax, certainly those property taxes can go to maintaining their parks, et cetera, et cetera. Wouldn't you agree with that in principle? I'm not talking about, necessarily having, their own House of Assemblies in each constituency, but certainly don't you hear a strain of sentiment that says, why can't we do this? Why can't we be empowered?
Every member of parliament, I'm told, not being one myself, this is what I'm told, gets $100,000 and to spend in his constituency.
Right.
So all you've got to do is present the project or spend the money and then submit the invoice to government, and government pays it, and it gets blessed by the member of parliament or whatever.
Yeah. So how about if I challenge you to this? Yeah. You become the new member for Freetown. And I can really put you on the spot.
Free national movement.
I'm going to really put Mr. Dionisio on the spot. Let's assume that you are a MP. And that you get this $100,000 for infrastructural. Plus, there's another. I think it's like $30,000
for the office.
Okay,
yeah, for the office.
So suppose you say, Mr. D'Aguilar, because we pushing this hard now, that you're going to create
plus the 28,000 you get
plus the 28. Because I'm telling you now,
you ain't
I giving up your salary.
Yeah. That's
you finish with that, Mr. Superwash.
So it's 158.
Yeah. Okay. So you see what I do it again? He ain't got no salary.
Yeah.
So you have now 158,000, right? And because you can afford it. Let's be frank. So the reality is now you create a constituency council, one from each polling division, and you say we're going to start off with a budget of 158,000. Okay, I'm giving you that.
Yeah.
And in addition, I'll help you as your MP to raise additional monies to fund your constituency council from the community. Now, when they have a pothole, let them call the people to fix the pothole. Let them decide that. They should have to come through you, who then got to go. Because even if you're an MP, if you're in the Minister of Works now, you got to go line up to the Minister of Works, man, to fix the pothole in my constituency. Yeah. Let them deal directly with the supplier of the pothole fixing material.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to work.
And that's all.
Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to work.
With checks and balances.
With checks and balances. They got accountability.
The member of parliament or whoever the present structure is, the member of parliament controls that.
Right.
So he controls the flow of that money and he approves the projects. Obviously, there are a multitude of complaints. Did he give it to you boys and all that sort of
Let
stuff.
them
But,
do it.
yeah.
You just sign off on the pothole
Me,
fix.
yes, I agree with you. You create a council or and
and
people,
empower them with money.
yeah, and let them fix the street lights and put the speed bumps
And
in.
speed and the motor verge or
and
whatever.
yeah, so-
and maybe they get a crew that they create as a maintenance crew
Yeah.
for their neighborhood out of the people in the neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I
More
think people are
invested in their
talking about,
constituency, in
local
their
community
community.
government,
Yes.
which then can evolve to something different after a period of time.
And
They-
alleviates
yeah,
his
they-
headache.
Yeah.
And by the way, we helping you to relieve your headache because you ain't got to fix the
you don't
pothole.
no, I on that. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I know that run.
Yeah.
That's what he was going to say.
Devolve it down. The only problem, as with everything in this instance, when you get, you'll have the honest MPs and you'll have the dishonest MPs.
Right.
So you'll have Dionisio de Aguilar as the MP
honest,
and Ed
dishonest
Fields
MP.
is the
Yeah, the
contractor.
honest,
And I say, Ed, you send me a bill
Yeah.
and then I'll send you a check.
But they got to take it from the MP.
Yeah.
See, this is what I'm saying. Give it to the council.
yeah,
Have them have a couple of signees.
yeah,
Maybe you have to have an approving position.
yeah.
Yes.
You bless it.
But you don't choose.
Yeah.
They choose.
yeah.
Okay? And then if the people in the constituency where their thing isn't being done properly, then
Yeah.
they remove them people.
Yeah,
But spread it to. I find that people don't rip themselves off.
yeah. That's a good idea.
Okay?
It's a very
They'll
good
rip
idea.
you off.
Yeah,
Or you'll rip them off.
yeah.
But they don't rip themselves off.
Yeah.
Okay? So if they need the pothole fix,
Yeah.
they get it fixed.
And then they'll have a chill and grill to raise money to fix more potholes.
Yeah. They can take your 150.
8.
8. Okay? That's their seed money.
Yeah.
And by the way, they don't get paid.
Yeah.
This is a voluntary position that they have. And let's see that mimicked throughout the community. And that way now people are involved and get to understand empowerment.
Yeah.
As opposed to, Dionisio, I live here on Tingham Road.
Yeah, yeah.
You can send a man to fix the thing?
Yeah.
Hey, Minister Wakes.
Yeah.
Listen, man, the people called me. You need to can you send the people on the pothole? Yeah, I got that. That's number 899 pothole on my list.
to fix.
As opposed to the first 5 on their list.
Yeah. And
It's
also
true.
the street lights. That's another,
Street lights.
Yeah, because they've got a multitude of those problems, especially after the hurricane.
These aren't big. These
Yeah.
aren't huge
These aren't
problems.
big deals.
They can 158,000 in the community can go a long way.
Yeah.
And again, they can.
And then you can actually,
Your
you know-
job is to help them raise
Raise
more
more
money.
money.
And maybe what you can do is you can reduce the amount that central government spends, and it goes more to the constituencies, and everybody
Yeah.
goes to their constituencies. So that's
And there's less wastage.
yes.
Because now there's not layers and the contract get to a sidewalk
Yeah,
fellow
yeah.
who don't know how to build sidewalks, so
Yeah.
he get halfway, then you got to hire another contractor to
Yeah.
finish the
That's
top of the
necessary.
sidewalk and this and that. But the main thing also is this: for you to start acting as a representative,
Yeah.
not as a fixer of potholes.
Not as a savior.
As a fixer of everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
you become daddy to the constituency.
You
You got to
then-
move out of that role.
You then move into the role of, now, this thing is working. Now, we got schools in this community. We've got community centers. How do we get more resources to the community? You know what? Then Dionisio de Aguilar, with his colleagues, started lobbying for an apportionment of the property tax to be left in that community.
Mm-hmm.
So now they can do more things. And again, they can probably do it more efficiently.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, where this thing needs to roll.
Yeah.
Not, boy, listen, I got to
One
find me a
consolidated
container.
fund.
I gotta find me a container for some ham and turkey for Christmas.
Yeah.
Man.
And raise money from the businesses in the area. I remember when we had Raynard Henfield on this show, and he was talking about Our Carmichael, and he said how they would hit up those businesses were in Carmichael to assist when they were doing
Jobs, et
fundraising.
cetera. I think it's a very, very good start.
Yeah.
And I would hope that we're the public. We're impressing upon you.
Yeah.
These are the kind of things that we want to hear. Because what else are you going to tell me?
Yeah.
What are you going to tell Rogan Smith when you visit her at her house
Yeah.
about what you're going to do for her? I'm testing you. I'm asking you.
Oh. What?
Rogan, ask him.
Oh, what I
No, let her ask you. She not ask you.
And
that.
I'm a Freetown constituent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Mr. de Aguilar, what are you going to do differently for this constituency than my former MP or my current MP is doing?
Well, Mr. Fields outlined what my policy was going to be. Ed Fields, man, I was on his show. He gave me a good idea. And he told me I was going to do this and that, and I go with him.
Yeah.
But
and I got the 158.
yeah. So, I could always say that. I'm ready. And then, making the economy. I'm a businessman, so I'm going to focus on empowering people to get into business and to start their businesses and to get our economy growing again. That's it's interesting. You get around the table with your fellow ratified candidates, and everybody talks about, okay, we can spend on this, and we can spend on this, and we can spend on this. And I'm always like,
Where's the money?
we got to get the economy growing again. That's what you got to do. You've got to do something so incredibly dynamic to get this economy attractive to people to invest, not only Bahamians primarily, first and foremost, but also foreigners as well, to get our economy attractive. And during these last 5 years, what happened to your Sea Lion person, and what happened to the UBS banker, and what happened to Bahama has left scars on the foreigners of.
But that's an interesting challenge.
And it's the the body language, the feel. When you come into the Bahamas, you get this feeling that the current government is very sort of standoffish and very difficult to deal with and very suspect of foreigners.
Has that been? Let me ask you a question. Has that been? And I'm being very fair here. Yeah. Has that been just the current government, or is that a kind of a prevalent? Or prevalent, I should say. You know where I got prevalent from? The guy Spicer. That's how he says prevalent. So now I copy in his dumb hip. It seems to me that this is something that continues to be nurtured. Anytime it's like a default button.
Yeah.
But let me just ask you this though. I hear the FNM saying things like, "We're going to do this and we're going to do that." Where does it get the money to do that? That's the $64,000 question. Where does it get the money to do that?
Well, first of all, there is a general belief that there's a lot of waste. There's a lot of money going. We've collected $1 billion of that money, and
1.7.
What? No, it ain't that much.
Total revenues. The total revenues are 1.7. Total revenues.
Yeah, total annual revenue. We're approaching $1.7 billion a year, and we're collecting, I think, probably about 400 million of that every year, right? And yet, there's no credit, there's no substantive thing that you can show me where that money's gone. There's nothing.
Well, we know it's gone to the consolidated fund. We know that.
And then it's just been used for current expenses, and it's been whittled away.
Salaries.
And it's just been whittled away, and our debt has grown by $2 billion, even though we've collected all this additional money. And while under the Free National Movement, you saw where the money was going. It was building all this infrastructure. For God's sake, we build more roads and airport and hospital across the street and stadium. You just don't see that. And so we feel that there's a lot of contracts that are going out to people that are padded with slush money. TFIN. There's plenty TFIN going on. And we feel that by trying to make the government as transparent as possible, if it was me, if you wanted to do a contract with the government, I'd put it online. Every contract goes online. So you've got to sort of make the process transparent, and you really get tested by it. If you don't get tested by it, if Ed Fields gets a contract from the government for $50,000, and he got to know, and I got to defend this, so I got to make sure this right, then he's minded to be honest.
We're right at 7:00, but I want to ask you a question. You talk about this TFIN, so to speak. Are you concerned that there is a culture that is so prevalent and that the government employment mode and force is so large that any kind of shift in that culture will actually cause a big problem? You hear people say, well, and no one who's running, so I don't expect you to say this. You hear people saying, well, we got to cut the civil service. I think that the civil service is such a huge part of this economy that you make any drastic move, any kind of shift, the ramifications could be seismic. Absolutely. People go home without money, no mortgage, no insurance. What do you think?
You're absolutely right. But you reach a tipping point. So, for example, in Barbados, I believe it was Barbados, the IMF came in there. The debt was spiraling out of control. They came in there and said, you have to lay off 3,000 people. So either you manage it now and you control the process now, or the big white man from the north can come down
Tell you how to do
and
it.
tell you got to lay off some money or because you ain't getting no more money.
Can you let me know ahead of time when that's happening so I can bulletproof my whole house? Can you give me 6 months notice?
Well, like it come. It's, if you keep borrowing the way we borrowing and we keep spending the money we get, that day coming, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
And so you've got to, you've got to manage it. I mean, even if you don't, there are ways to manage it. You say, okay, there's a hiring freeze.
Yeah,
So you
just a
come in now
freeze.
and say there's a hiring
So
freeze.
through
and as
attrition, it
people
goes down, yeah.
Retire, die, or whatever. You reduce the amount of people there. So you don't do it. So
Drastically, yeah.
and cause the upheaval that you talk about. No, you've got to manage it clearly.
All right.
And all that people wash at Superwash, so I can't,
Yeah. Well, it's free washing. So anyway, listen, Dionisio, thank you. Animated as usual. Thank you for your contribution, and we'll see what happens. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I'm not going to ask you the obvious question.
Why not?
I will ask you the obvious question. So, are you going to stay in Montague? That's the obvious question.
Freetown.
Or you
No,
Freetown?
Montague is
You can say yeah because there ain't no Montague.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back, and we'll see you on Monday with Ternille Burrows, who's an independent running for Elizabeth. We'll be back.